Number 6, crowds. It depends how big of a city you live in, it depends how many people there are around you, it depends how well you can see outside, it depends on your color vision. Everyone with achromatopsia is different, and crowds are really hard for me. It has to do with the amount of people going a bunch of different ways and looking kind of like a big blob of thing going every which way and not paying attention to you. And I normally, with the depth perception I have, especially outside, I do have issues trying to weave in and out of people, seeing the gaps in them, seeing where to go. That can be really difficult. So working in crowds is hard because there are all sorts of colors, all sorts of shapes, all sorts of movement going every which way, and staying on your right side and trying to go with the flow is good. I normally, in these kind of situations, find one person going the way I need to go and I follow him really, really close. He probably thinks I'm like stalking him or something. I'm not. I'm following him to see where he's going. Another thing I do, as I said, I'm a cane user, and it really helps using a cane because people do generally kind of avoid you sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So that makes it a little easier, and so you're not bumping into people, knocking into people, or not seeing things around you. When there's a lot of people, it can be hard to see things like lightly colored poles that blend into the sidewalk, or trash cans if it's hidden behind someone who's walking. You know, a lot of movement means that you're really trying to focus on where you're going and not seeing other things you should be paying attention to. I find, I don't know about other people with achromatopsia, if we call it A, that when I'm in a grocery store, say Walmart, when there's a lot of carts and there's a lot of people, it's really hard to navigate between the carts and the people in the aisles. I usually can't tell if there's a space big enough to squeeze through. I can't tell how many people are kind of conjugated behind them. I can't tell, especially if someone's body language says they want to move or not. I definitely don't want to try to be burdensome and get in their way. So I try to give people, all sorts of people, a really wide berth, because when you can't read body language in crowds, it means that you just have to try to be as inconspicuous as possible. You gotta try to flow with it. It proves a good challenge, let's say that. Another thing I do a lot is sighted guide. I really, really like holding on to someone's elbow in a crowd. It helps because that person strongly knows where they're going and they're gonna lead you through that crowd. And they're gonna find spaces that you and that person can get through. That's really helpful, like really helpful. If people with achromatopsia have ever done sighted guide, I don't know if you have, but it's just makes life easier. Crowds are crowds. Depends on where you are, depends how bright it is, depends on the color of the sidewalks and time of day. But yeah, that's another thing you would normally not guess. I forgot which number I'm on. I think it was 7. I can't remember. Okay, you guys are just gonna have to handle the beautiful numbers that appear on the screen because I lost count. But the next one is overhanging branches. If you have achromatopsia, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. All the time, and I mean all the time, I walk into branches. I cannot see them for my life. Like normally, I can tell when something is right in front of me, at least right when I'm about to hit it. But with branches, there's no reaction, I just smack right into them. It's not fun because branches are usually right in front of your face. They're normally nice and scratchy. Pine branches are prickly and yucky, and sometimes, especially if you live in a snowy place, you're gonna get a bunch of snow dumped on you. Oh, it's just beautiful fun walking into branches. You can bang your head pretty hard and get some wonderful headaches. And so, especially I find people with achromatopsia, they'll be looking down because it's so bright and they won't be looking in front of them. So that's just another factor with branches. But for me, they're so thin that they just blend in so well that there's no depth perception. I just don't see them till I hit them. Normally to counteract this, I forgot what it's called, but you put your arm up kind of like this, about a foot in front of you, when you know there's going to be branches. And you know they'll hit your arm first and you'll know that there's a branch there. Of course, this is kind of flawed because you do that when you know there's going to be a branch coming. So you kind of have to hit the branch first to know where it is, and then when you're doing the walk again, you'll know that there's a branch there, or you can keep your arm up once you've hit a branch because you're gonna guess there's more branches. But at least for me, my eyes and branches don't mix well. My head and branches mix great. One good thing is that usually we're wearing sunglasses as acromats. We always have sunglasses on. Like, you won't catch us dead outside without sunglasses normally. They just help so much. They help so much. Unless we want to be completely blind pretty much, we're gonna wear sunglasses. So they protect our eyes from those horrible little needles that want to try to get us. So yeah, that's one you probably wouldn't think of. Our next one. I get to rant at all you sightlings. Red lights and traffic and people not paying attention or being really antsy and needing to go really fast or running a red light. As I explained before, most people with achromatopsia, if they have it fully manifested, they cross a street with the parallel traffic because they can't see the light. If you're relying on parallel traffic to cross the street, you need that traffic to obey the traffic laws. A lot of traffic doesn't obey the traffic laws. It's like what I figured out pretty much with adults. The speed limit is pretty much the limit that you need to go 5 miles over. That's a joke. But honestly, if someone runs a red light and I'm standing there waiting for my surge of traffic and I hear that one car run it, especially if they come to an idle to make sure no one's gonna come and hit them before they run the red light, I think that is a surge, a traffic surge, and I'm gonna go with that car. And you know how dangerous that is? It's really, really dangerous. It's, oh my goodness, it scares the heck out of me because I'm going at a red light. I'm going when a car could come out and hit me, and I have no clue that I'm going at the wrong time. So please, please, please don't run red lights. That's just another reason not to do it. It really puts me in danger. It puts anyone who has vision loss, who uses a cane, who can't see the light in danger. It's not safe, it's not smart for either party involved, and you might not know that by running a red light you're inadvertently affecting someone else, so don't do it, please. People have done it, and it's awful. We are taught not to go when people jaywalk. In orientation and mobility training, which is how we get around, we're taught, to go with the traffic and not to go with people who are walking. If you have achromatopsia and you've never had O&M training, I really suggest you do if you have issues getting around, especially if you can't see traffic lights. A lot of people will jaywalk when they're not supposed to walk. Don't follow them. Don't follow anyone who's crossing the street. It's not safe again. Just don't do it. Be as smart as you can. Be as safe as you can. That's another reason that I use my cane when I'm crossing the street is cars. Cars generally pay more attention to you when you're using a cane. And when you can't see those cars very well, when it's really bright, or even if, you do a vision but you don't have enough to see the traffic light, cars need to know that you're going by the rules of traffic, not by the rules of the lights. And they need to follow the laws. That's what that cane tells them. It tells them, don't be an idiot, don't pull out in front of this person, don't turn when you're not supposed to, yield to whoever has the white cane. That's what white cane laws say, that you always have the right of way. That's probably 4 scenarios that I just described when someone runs a red light and there's going to be someone walking across the street when it's a green light. The white cane still has the right of way by law. And that's probably why, for scenarios like that. Just today I was doing some traffic stuff with no O&M instructor. I'm at this really, really busy intersection. I live in a pretty busy city, and there's a lot of people, over 1 million, so, big enough. And I had to wait 3 cycles of traffic because the first cycle, a big mean car pulled out in front of me, pulled right into the lane, and decided he was gonna turn. But he waited to turn, and so technically I couldn't go forward because there's this big car right in front of me, and there's all these cars going in the lane beside me, so it's not like I can go around him, and it would be really dumb to try to go behind him, so I had to wait for him. And then the second time there was just no surge. Sometimes it just happens. It's annoying, but it happens. I also had another instance where cars just decided to go in front of me because they're impatient, I guess. Technically, As I know I described in the last video that we cross using parallel traffic, so we don't cross right when the light turns green or red or green? Yeah? Well, anyway, we don't cross right away when the light turns whatever color it turns. So cars who are turning, if you're in a turn lane, they're gonna get annoyed because they're like, okay, this person isn't going, and it's been like a second, and that's way too long for me to wait here. That's the driver mentality, isn't it? And that's because we're waiting to see if our surge is going, so we can go with that traffic surge. But since the light turned green and that surge is just going and we're not sure if we can go yet, you might have a bunch of cars start to turn because they're impatient, they're not yielding to you, and it means that you can't go. It's just a big mess, and that's another example of cars not following the laws. If there's a person with a cane, you need to wait for that person to go. They're going to tell you if they're going to go because they're going to be standing with their cane out, looking in the direction they want to go, and they're just waiting to make sure they can go with the sound of the traffic instead of the light. So please don't be impatient and turn in front of them or push in front of them. It's against the law, and it makes life, again, difficult. We're not asking anyone to follow any special rules when there's someone who is visually impaired or can't see, or has to be careful around traffic. We're just asking them to follow the traffic rules. That's all we want people to do, is follow the traffic rules, do what you're supposed to do, and then we'll be fine. It's when you don't follow the traffic rules that we mess up. So yeah, that kind of gives you a overview. I think I got a little ranty there, but I really feel strongly about that one because it's getting around safe. People with achromatopsia, they have to walk or take the bus or get someone to drive them. If you want to be independent like me and you want to get around and it's important to you, then it's really important that people are safe and do what they're supposed to do, and don't be dumbheads. Yeah. Moral of the story, don't be dumbheads. Yes. School and whiteboards. Most of us, actually I'm pretty sure all of us, we have the visual acuity that is bad enough that we can't see whiteboards. That showed up a lot in school. Math. Math is killer. Math sucks. It all has to do with accommodations. A lot of people with achromatopsia, I find, don't take this the wrong way, I'm sure people do, but a lot of people don't want to say anything. They don't want to just ask for accommodations. They're happy to just kind of sit there and not see the lesson or not learn properly because of their vision, and that's really frustrating. I know how frustrating that can be when you're unable to participate in a lesson, when you fall behind in classes because you can't see the whiteboard. It's really hard. It makes you feel pretty crappy because all you want to do is do your work properly and learn properly, and your vision really hinders that with achromatopsia. There's definitely accommodations to fix that. I'd say the most difficult thing is, say, a substitute teacher, and you normally have an accommodation. So say you have a smartboard or something, it connects to a tablet on your desk and shows you what the smartboard has on it, and you can copy your notes from there. Well, say you have a substitute teacher who comes in and he doesn't know how to use the smartboard and uses the whiteboard instead. Well, you've just missed out on a lesson or two of classes because the accommodation's not working. And the most frustrating thing about that, it's no one's fault. It's not the teacher's fault, it's not the substitute's fault for not knowing how this special equipment works. It's not really your fault that you have vision problems. It's no one's fault. It's frustrating to not be frustrated at anyone. It's frustrating to not be able to direct your frustration at someone. So that is something else that we have to deal with. In that case, I'd suggest getting technology like a camera or something you can point at the board and see what the teacher's doing, because it just works better overall. If your camera breaks, which happens, or you forget to charge it one day, then you miss the class. Well, I know, that sucks. If you have achromatopsia and you're watching this, I understand how much that must have sucked. Or if you were in a time before there were those kind of accommodations, I still get how much that sucked. I didn't have accommodations for a while either. It's harsh, it's brutal, I get you. If you've never experienced this, this might be the first time you felt happy to see your math class. There's another one that you might not have known.